Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining this HDR Scholarship Opportunity Information sections. My name is Alex Ng, and I'm the Faculty Director of Graduate Study. And before we begin this event, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we work and learn, and pay respect to the First Nation people and their elders past, present, and futures. And tonight, we would like to encourage you all to think about your future and where research can take you. Through the research, we can influence change. It helps us to understand the world, solve the problem, and improve existing solutions. In recent years, we have seen a shift toward the industry engaged research. So more than ever, as a researcher, we can make a difference. More and more, we are seeing defense and many other industries keen to support postgraduate research to solve a particular challenge within their organizations and industry. The shift has challenged us to think about how we can help our students to bridge the gaps between the research world and the professional world. And one way to do that is through research. And tonight, we encourage you to think back, as you see on the slide, and consider how doing a high degree by research can take you up, can open up your choices for the futures. In these information sections, you are going to see a variety of research projects with full scholarship and having strong industry component built into the program. And I hope you will see how these high degree by research programs such as MPhil and PhD can take you to the next level in your future career. I will now introduce Lisa Stein as our facilitator, who will take you through the agenda for tonight. Over to you, Lisa.
Thanks, Alex. And hello, everybody. I can see we have quite a few people attending tonight, so welcome and thank you for joining. As Alex said, to share with you some exciting research opportunities, but we'd also like to really try and inspire you to consider higher degree by research and where it can take you. So my guess is you're here tonight because, my guess is you're here tonight because you, one of these things on one of these dot points on this slide resonates with you. I would say that you would either be coming to the end of your degree and thinking about what to do next. You perhaps have done a final research project and that's really inspired you and you're considering research at the next level. You could also be thinking, is research your passion, but you don't really know where it could lead you and what you could do with research? Or perhaps you'd like to work in industry and you're thinking, could you actually do that through a research degree? You may want to know what research areas the faculty has available, and we can certainly help you with that tonight. Or have you been thinking that you would really love to work alongside some of our leading researchers here at the faculty to solve some of those real world problems? So the good news is we've invited several speakers along tonight to speak to you, and we really hope that you find something that really helps you to actually engage with research here at the faculty. So tonight we'll have Dr. Volker Hessel, and he'll talk to you about the faculty's research capability, highlighting some of our current research themes that have societal impact and where that could take you. We'll also introduce you to the University of Adelaide iPhD program for those that are interested in engaging in an industry-based PhD research project here at the university, and that also includes the 6-month internship, and Volker will speak to you about that. Following Volker, Greg Redden from DST, Defence Science Technology, will give us his perspective of how DST benefit from engaging PhDs to focus on industry challenges, followed by Philippa Faulkner and also Leon Faulkner from EnviroCopper. They'll also provide an industry perspective for us and talk to you about how they engage with Hang Wang on their CRC project that she's currently working on. So Hang Wang, welcome tonight, and she'll be speaking to you about her PhD journey, which I think you'll find particularly interesting, and hope it inspires you to think more about where PhD can take you, or a Master of Philosophy. In between, Ruth Shaw and I will highlight some of the interesting scholarships and exciting scholarships opportunities we have available here. And some of them are in particular interest areas. And then towards the end, I'll sort of present the nuts and bolts about scholarships and how to apply and how we intend to follow up with you after the session. So in terms of some housekeeping, you are very welcome to ask questions throughout the session. We do ask you to do that by raising a virtual hand when the speakers speak, although we do have, and using those reaction buttons on Zoom that you're probably all familiar with by now. We do have limited time tonight and we have lots to get through, so if I can please ask you, if you have any other questions, if you can perhaps post them using the chat function, and we will definitely follow up with you after the session and also provide you access to our FAQs that we'll gather as a result of those questions you've popped in the chat. We do also intend to follow up with you with a questionnaire at the end, just to make sure we help you to connect your journey into PhD, figuring out whether you want to do a PhD or a Master of Philosophy with us. This session is being recorded and it will be available afterwards. So if you would prefer not to be part of the recording, can you please make sure your video is turned off? So if you do have any burning questions down the track, I'm here to ask those questions. Even later down the track, please do contact me directly. My contact details will be provided throughout the session, and as I mentioned, you'll be receiving the presentation after, so you'll know where to find me. So just before we move on to hear Dr. Hessel speak, I wanted to just prompt you to think about why you do a research degree. I think one of the more obvious reasons is that by choosing a research degree, you'll develop some expert knowledge in the field of your choice. And you'll also come out of it with advanced skills that can lead to some really exciting opportunities and careers both within and outside of academia. However, I think some of the less explicit reasons that I think are well worth considering as our presenters speak are probably some of these dot points that I've got here on this slide. So, access to scholarship opportunities. We have some fantastic scholarship opportunities that provide a tax-free living allowance stipend from 28k per year upwards. You can solve some real-life problems by participating in industry-engaged projects that we have available. There's that opportunity to work with world-leading researchers. You can be the critical link between academia and industry, that we're finding there's more and more call for now as we move towards that sort of a model of working closely with industry on industry-engaged projects. You'll be able to establish those professional and those industry connections and really have some opportunities to engage with some future partnership opportunities. And you'll hear that our research graduates are highly sought after by industry and government organisations and also small and medium enterprises. So there's really no limit to where research can take you. We also have a CAST program, which is a professional development program that provides you with at least 120 hours of free professional development in a range of areas. And that helps you to improve your employability skills so that once you've finished your research degree, you're well able to perform in a professional environment. And of course, those reasons that we started with, so develop your expert knowledge in your field of choice and come out with those excellent skills. So really, I just wanted to sort of leave you with that as I introduce Dr. Volker Hessel. So let's get started. Hopefully you leave tonight feeling excited about where research with the Faculty of ECMS could lead you. And allow me to please introduce our Deputy Dean of Research, Dr. Volker Hessel, as our first speaker. Over to you, Volker.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. And a warm welcome to all of you, to the students listening, to our three speakers, the two industrial speakers who give their valuable time, their valuable knowledge, and the speaker about a PhD journey taken in this kind of envelope. I think there's no better time to go to industry than now. I think there are a few turning points in the centuries, like in the 18th century when the steam machine was invented, the first industrial revolution, in the 90s when we had the computer revolution and the internet revolution. And what we see now is a kind of COVID-inspired revolution that we will change quite a lot. Many people, especially here in Australia, talk about a different post-COVID manufacturing age. We talk about a fractal economy. Before we thought big is beautiful. Now we think small is beautiful and big ideas are beautiful, as Alex has shown in the beginning. So we are at a big disruption point, and a big disruption point forces industry to react flexibly. We see that already. And that is a good time for great industrial research. Now, there are more moments which I like to mention. We go to space. There's human space exploration. You see my first questions, going to the moon. Yes, we go to the moon. We make experiments. Our students make experiments on the ISS station. We prepare for that at the University of Adelaide. So that are fascinating opportunities. And we will go to space. We need to eat and drink there. We need to live there. That is not in too distant future. Yeah, I'm just conducting now an interview about space tourism. That is real life university research, and that is very interesting. And I connect to Blue Origin. I'm sure you've heard them, Virgin Galactic, talk to all those people who make fascinating industrial stories. And the third topic to be mentioned is, we all know about the climate problem. We have to deal with renewable energies. Big companies like BP, you have seen that, and Shell just announced to change their total policy of working. So that will have a major industrial disruption. So it's a good time. We have a lot of national priorities, and behind, as mentioned, we can address key societal impact research topics and look for academic alignment. Here in Adelaide, we have especially a lot of space and defense research activities, and they form a significant part of the university's overall defense and security research portfolio. And you can bring in and develop your full range of specialist capabilities concerning physical, technological, and computational expertise. I would say at this point of time, industry and societal challenges attract world-leading researchers. We see that every day with COVID. The best people in medicine in Oxford, for example, but here nationally in Queensland, they are busy with societal and industrial research. That was not always like this, but that is a moment, and it will stay like this for some time. Now, coming to the next slide, please. You see, that picture shall underline what I've said. Look in the middle. You can see the point, you see mentioned ideation, yeah? So that is usually how classically research started in the labs of the universities. Researchers had an idea, but they had no idea what it is good for, what it's good for society. And they developed it to some maturity, and then it became more clear in the way as shown by the orange track, what it is might be good for. Naturally, that is not the most efficient way. Today, we start, and Lisa, you mentioned the themes, we start with a few on industrial applications. That's the left part, the gray part, the earth. And we like to be guided by micro and macro and mega trends as shown there. So we have a totally different way of making research, at least at our university and our faculty. And we think in ecosystems, not only in companies. That is too small today. You have to involve government. You have to involve the whole society when you want to change some topics. That is a fascinating thing, because then it's immediately clear why we should do that. Can I see the next slide, please? Okay, this is the initiative we are talking here about, PhDs which engage with industry. So the HDR project is industry and Adelaide collaborative research project that puts also a kind of new dimension to the supervisors and to the supervisions. And both the academic and industry supervisor, they might take a new inspiration from this industrial revolution, and probably we will see new kinds of academic and industrial collaboration. So there are a lot of opportunities, to my belief, and PhD students can profit from this very much, because it will be different than we did it in the past. The third point is the scholarship. Okay, that was mentioned. Naturally, we need reasonable support for such things. It needs to be financially reasonably attractive. The outcome is documented over there. We have an internship, which is 6 months on site with an industry partner. It's very inspiring to talk to industrial people. I did it both from industry innovation part and industry business units, which are totally different profiles. It's very inspiring to talk to those people and to learn a bit what is really happening in the world. And finally, the duration, that is the 4-year full time, not so different to the normal PhD. Can I have the next slide, please? This, again, I like to show an image after text. This slide should show you on the right side, we work with industry, and that creates impact. We make inventions, they are patented, we create innovations, and we might incubate, we make startup. That we did forever. What today is more and more of importance is to bring an ecosystem around it, and companies like Evonik, virtually all companies work on this. They create their own ecosystem. They are involved in green technologies, green platforms, conferences. And we have such ecosystem here in Adelaide, a fantastic one, which is Lot 14. So this is an industrial academic merger. So it builds, it connects, it promotes what you see over there. You cannot operate anymore without such ecosystem, and you need to take into account people and diversity. Yeah, we started with diversity this session. So that is a very important factor here. So it's a complex thing, and we are very prepared for this with our theme development at our university and at our faculty. And we have the relative stakeholders involved here. Can I see the next slide, please? Yeah, that's the final text slide, and then one more graphical slide. So yeah, first the text slide, please. We have key industrial partners, and we have quite a number of them. We just submitted a large number, a very positive large number of projects with industry to the Australian Research Council. So this shows that even in COVID times, we have a big support by the local and national industry. And with this, we can propose current iPhD and other industry PhD opportunities with all those major players which are listed there. And I will not give all of them, but just to mention DST and SA Power Networks, or Celana, which is a very agile, vibrant semiconductor company at our place. You all know about quantum materials and quantum computers that will also give another leap in technology. Now you can access the HDR research opportunities through a guide for more information. Let me finish with the last slide to deepen this again by a picture. So I think now it's a bit clear. We start with the lower part, with the, is it orange or brown part? That is a societal part. It's very important to talk to government authorities. Every day I have emails when I want to do research, and every researcher does it. Then we have the industrial layer, which we talked today about, that's the green one, and the more academic layer. And the message of this slide is, first, there are 2 dimensions. Yeah, there are these dimensions in the y-axis, which I just quoted, from society, industry to academia, or to the solvation of a problem. And then we have the x-axis, which is a classical transfer of an idea to an innovation which is adapted in the society. And at all those spots, at virtually all those spots, you can make very successful industrial academic collaboration. You can be very close to the product, but you can be also more on the scouting phase, as SPP and Shell do now with visionary projects on renewable fuels, with all what it means to make such a big transition. So to sum up, I think it's a fascinating time to come now into the play. We have a lot of opportunities at our faculty. and they're virtually from mines to energy and up to the moon, as it was said initially. That will be a major part, the new space economy. And again, I come back to Lot 14. The Australian Space Agency is located there, and companies are located there. So have fun and be inspired by the information which you will get by the speakers now. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Volker. Yeah, very interesting. Maybe we'll be doing these Zoom calls from the moon eventually, years to come. Who knows? I just wanted to first of all, if there are any questions anyone has for Volker, if there is, please raise a hand and we'll get to you. No? Okay. If there, like I mentioned, if there are any questions that come to you throughout the presentation, please do pop it in the chat function. Use the chat function, and we'll get back to you after the session. So, if you are interested in working on an industry-based project, including a 6-month on-site internship, like Volker just spoke about for the UAI PhD projects, we have some exciting opportunities for you that I've provided in this slide here, and the links to these on this slide actually goes to further information. So please do click through when you receive the slides, and all the supervisor details for each project are listed if you do follow the links to the agency web page, and you'll see that there are several opportunities that are available across schools in the faculty. So there's also a FAQ and further information links on the slide. You can also come back to me through the ecms.hdr@adelaide.edu email that I've provided there. But please do go through and have a look. If you're interested in doing an injury-based research project through a fully funded scholarship and a 6-month period of internship, please do click through and have a look at the information. Next up, I would like to introduce Greg Redden. Welcome, Greg, and his colleague Broderick Matthews from DST. So Greg is the Executive Director of Science Partnerships, and we've invited him to tell us how DST enable university pathways through employment with DST through research. So over to you, Greg, if you're ready.
Hi Lisa, thanks, and thanks very much for inviting me to spend just a few minutes hopefully sharing some useful information with you. This is a double act, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about defence science strategy and perhaps some of the reasons why you might be interested in doing some higher degree research in collaboration with defence. And Broderick, assuming he's online somewhere,
He is.
Haven't seen his photo, so I'm hoping he's with us. I think is going to talk a little bit about perhaps some of the mechanics of how you might go about doing that. So for those of you who are not aware, Defence Science and Technology, it's a part of the Australian Department of Defence. It's effectively the lead agency responsible for science and technology. We work not just in defence, but we also work across the national security agencies as well. And our budget is around about, $460 odd million of portfolio budget. We have another couple of $100 million or so of money that we invest in other ways. 2,100 staff, 8 sites across Australia. I'll mention that the defence science and strategy and what we work on is not just for the group, it's for the whole of defence, which is of course an organisation of 60 or 70,000 people, and of course it's everywhere around the country and in many overseas locations as well. If you could perhaps go to the next slide. Thanks, Lisa. So this looks kind of like a squashed version, I think, of the slide that I shared. There's a few bits missing. What's come up on my screen is not quite the same, but I'll talk through it as best I can. I mentioned that defence science technology strategy for the decade ahead is not just single research organisation strategy. It's on behalf of all of defence and much of the national security infrastructure as well. The problems that we're seeking to solve in that space are many and varied, but we're seeking to place a focus on what I'll describe as the really gnarly, big, challenging problems that we know are important. What this means is a focus on larger science and technology programs. So perhaps less so in the days of the past where there were a lot of different things in disparate areas that people would work on. Working with defence now, it's much more likely to be part of a much larger, more strategic program. There's there's many billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars being spent by defence over the decade ahead. So this is an opportunity to be a part of some of that. The second part there, which looks slightly squashed, is something which says at scale and in partnering. And the work that we're doing in the years ahead is not all behind closed doors in secret. Much of it is being done with industry, defence primes domestically and overseas, as well as many Australian developing countries, internationally and domestically, I might add. And much of what we're doing is about achieving an outcome, it's impact, it's delivering a capability edge for defence. It's also delivering a benefit to the what we'll call the national science and technology enterprise, or the economy at large. So working on a defence project is not necessarily just going to lead to career opportunities in defence. It has the opportunity to lead to many different areas of industry. Next slide, please. See what this one produces. So this slide is just a slide that shows a little bit about some of the topics that are the areas of focus. I won't go into too much detail on them, except to say that underneath them are all sorts of different research areas, ranging from data science to imaging systems, propulsion systems, biology, ecology, chemistry, psychology, in the engineering disciplines, areas of acoustics and autonomous systems, communications, materials science. There is a huge breadth of interesting stuff. The reason why we're looking for students and continue to support students is because we need the talent of new ideas to work on some of the challenging problems that we have. Internally, although it sounds like we've got a lot of staff with 2,500 staff, it's only a fraction of what we need to tackle the challenges that we know need to be solved today and in the future. We're seeking to build networks across academia and industry. And that's not something that we do by being an island to ourselves. It's about working with the people that are coming up to be the research leaders of the future. So, you know, our strategy is very much about partnerships and collaboration. I think that for students, you know, we offer the opportunity to be able to work on areas which are well supported, great equipment and facilities, get to interact with some fantastic people, the best that exist in the field. It leads to great opportunities, and I like to think that defence is a force for good. We can really make a difference. Most of all, the stuff that we work on is really cool stuff. It's just fun. So I think the question is how can you get involved? What are the mechanisms, and where can it lead you? And I'd probably pass across to my my colleague Broderick, who's much better placed to talk about those things than myself.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Lisa. Broderick Matthews here. I look after the STEM outreach and engagement at Defence Science Technology. And I guess there's a couple of things that I want to highlight through this. And part of it is where your HDR research can lead you. And then some of the opportunities that are available. The industry PhD program that was being talked about at the start of this sounds, you know, there's some amazing opportunities there. And we do have, you know, a wide variety of projects that are happening across DST. I was just looking at some of our PhD internships that we have open at the moment through the APR intern program, which are looking at things like, you know, transferred learning to automate systems integration or facial recognition in video, object recognition, a whole range of different projects on offer there. And I guess where that can take you into to working with us is to get into some of those great opportunities. This slide here talks about a variety of pathways that we have. The ones on the left are actually mainly undergraduate pathways there, through scholarships, through taking up summer vacation placements with us. But then you can transition into our cadetship programs, which take you through your last years of undergraduate honours, masters into defence employment. But the other side of things that's really important is the Research and Innovation Graduate Program there. So when you reach that graduate point, whether it's through the honours, masters or PhD, you can enter through that Innovation Graduate Program pathway, which takes you through into defence S&T employment. And there's some great opportunities there. If we can grab the next slide there. This is just an example of Nicola Bilton, who came through through a Women in STEM scholarship into a cadetship, into being a defence S&T employee, and actually completed her honours with that guaranteed job in defence through the cadetship program. She's actually gone off to complete her PhD in Imperial College London now, thanks to the great opportunities she's had. But I think these pathways through are all available there, and yeah, just highlights the opportunities there. And if we jump to the last slide, to give you an idea about some of the APS careers and that sort of thing, defence.gov.au/APS careers, there's a couple of specific links there for the STEM opportunities there that we're looking at within DST, and then the defence graduate opportunities there, looking at the research innovation stream for the grad program there. But I know many of you are here to hear about the HDR opportunities through the PhD, and as Greg said, we're always looking for more people to do that research there, and so we really are connecting into PhDs to offer those internships, to bring people on site and just showcase the workplace that is defence science and technology, and the real drive behind the work that we do to achieve that that high-tech defence force that we have. I might leave it there and open up for questions.
Any questions at all for Broderick or Greg? No? Okay. Please do follow up again if you would like to know more about DST. If you are looking for a research project to advance your cyber-related career, then you should check out these information capability project opportunities that we have. We actually have over 35 research projects that are available. Many of them are actually working with DST, working through partnership with DST, so please do go and have a look. And there are also some there that are conducted in partnership with the public and other public and commercial sectors. So you'll be, if you had a look through, click through to the links, you'll be working with world-class researchers together with the Australian Defence Force and other key defence contractors through there. And some of the projects are also connected with our premises across the road at Lot 14, so in the new Defence Space and Cyber Innovation Precinct. So I think there's some really great opportunities there, and please do engage, go to the website, have a look at the projects, and contact us once again if you need to know more. I think probably Broderick will probably be a really good point of contact there as well for more information, and also we could follow up around those APR intern projects that he also spoke to you about as well. Thank you very much both for your piece, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'd like to next introduce Liam Philippa Faulkner. Philippa, thank you for coming. I see you here now, so welcome. Liam and Philippa are from EnviroCopper Limited, and they're here to tell us a little bit about their experience of involving research students in large-scale projects, and also their perspective for career opportunities linked to research in the mining industry. So I'll hand you over to, I think I'm not sure who's speaking first. So Leon,
Yep, I'll speak
Philippa,
first.
I'll hand you over to Philippa, and off you go. Thanks.
Thanks, Lisa, for the invite too, to share our knowledge. We are, Vara Copper are taking advances in ISR mining to the next level. ISR has been undertaken for over 40 years, but in limited commodities and only in specific geological settings. So now with recent advances by CSIRO over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, we can apply ISR extraction methods to copper and gold now in an environmentally and socially acceptable way, which is all the buzz now in the industry. Kapunda is our first project of 2. It is a heritage copper mine just north of Adelaide here, just an hour up the new road, which is 500 metres from their main street, 4 pubs and 2 schools. So as you can imagine, social licence is pretty crucial. A cooperative research centre project grants, we received one 2 years ago, are designed for industry-led collaboration with research institutions to advance and commercialise technologies. In other words, a $3 million grant, which is what we received, will contribute to billions of dollars in new industries, which is just what we hope to do with copper and gold ISR in developing a new arm of the mining industry. So this is an area that is definitely growing, and a lot of big tier ones down to small companies like us are all interested in this particular area of extractive minerals. Hence, with the CRCP project, we partnered with CSIRO, divisions of minerals, environment and social licence, plus the Uni of Adelaide's geophysics and the mining engineer faculties. All these 5 areas contribute to addressing the knowledge gaps of the hydrogeology, where and how fluids move in a fractured rock environment, and hence how the solutions to it will extract copper in economic quantities, because there's still quite a bit of remaining copper at the Kapunda mine. And hopefully this will all be done while having a very low footprint and a minimal environmental impact. We plan to have this research completed early next year, so we're coming up to the end. And if pre-feasibility proves positive, then we can apply for a mining lease from the state government to go into production in a couple of years' time. Next slide. Thanks, Lisa. So one of the knowledge gaps was understanding how fluids move through a fractured rock environment, especially at Kapunda, because it's a heritage mine where we have a lot of multitude of old workings. It's an old underground and open cut pit there. Fracture modelling was crucial in not only understanding this underground geological environment, but Hung's model, that's the PhD postdoc that's been working with us, her model will help predict the amount of economic copper that we may be able to extract. So it's actually going to be quite cutting edge in the industry. And as I stated on the previous slide, this work hopes to create a new arm of the mining industry for specialist professionals in ISR mining, which will not just be limited to earth scientists. There are also opportunities for environmental scientists, sociologists, mathematicians, etc. And Leon will go on to the next slide. Thanks, Lisa, to expand on those opportunities.
G'day everyone, how are you? I'm here to do a bit of a, I guess, a bit of a spruik for the mining industry in general, in that it's not just for geologists and geophysicists and that sort of stuff. If you have a look at this slide, it has some of the advances in technology that have taken place in the mining industry since the 1800s up to now. And if you can just go to the next slide, please, Lisa. Yep, next one. Yep, thank you. You can see that there's a whole range of areas that the mining industry has utilised since we've had the 1800s there. So we've got a lot of electrical engineering early on. There was the satellite sort of revolution in the 70s and 80s. Mechanical engineering obviously is featured strongly in the drilling side of things. But going forward in the mining industry and particularly in the exploration industry, we're seeing a massive increase in demand for software developers and people skilled in data analytics. So they're going to be looking at spectroscopy. Oh,
Sorry, that was mine.
yep.
All good?
Back, just back another one.
Yeah. So
Yep. No, back. Sorry,
go back up one, Lisa. Sorry.
the one with the rings on it.
Oh, the one with the rings. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so recently we've seen a lot of work being done using AI, looking at exploration data and a lot of software development to actually take advantage of those big data sets and bits and pieces. Now, if you go on to the next one, please, Lisa. Sorry, no, you've skipped one there, I think. Yep, that's the one. This is just an example of some of the challenges that have been put out by BHP and by the South Australian Department of Energy and Minerals. There's the Explore SA Gawler Challenge, where basically the state opened up a challenge with its enormous digital data sets to have people come in and try and come up with better targeting for exploration in the Gawler Craton out there. You can also see that IBM had a contest for using big data and AI to undertake smarter mineral exploration. So this area has really come a long way in the last probably 3 to 5 years. And there are now specialist companies looking for PhDs who are skilled in AI and data science and that sort of stuff. And if we go to the last slide, Lisa. The other area that we've seen in a lot of is the use of robotics. Rio Tinto have driverless trucks. A lot of machinery underground now is being driven robotically to keep humans safe and out of the way. And drone technology is coming along now for safety inspections of pits, doing volume calculations and bits and pieces. So the mining game is not just digging, blasting and getting dirty. There's a massive scope for people with mathematics degrees in optimization, in people with AI skills. We're looking for everyone from mathematicians to environmental scientists. So the mining industry has quite a lot to offer for PhD students. And yeah, hopefully we won't miss out. So that's it, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks so much to both of you. I think I'm really excited about some of those research opportunities that are coming up, and also how that arrangement is sort of mutual benefit to both yourselves and to students. You know, there's sort of short-term and long-term benefit there. So really great to hear that the industry is moving and you're getting down and dirty, I think is what you said, Leon. But before we do move on to Hung, I'd like to just introduce Dr. Ruth Shaw to briefly speak to you about some available scholarship opportunities related to mining with the IRCR Training Centre. Thank you, Ruth.
Thanks, Lisa, and thanks for the excellent mining spruik there. That was the perfect intro. We're also looking at AI and big data to optimise and automate the mining chain. So I'm Ruth, I'm the business manager for the Australian Research Council funded Training Centre for Integrated Operations for Complex Resources. So we have brought together 3 universities and 16 different industry partners, including BHP and Oz Minerals. We have 16 fully funded scholarships available across multiple disciplines. So as previously mentioned, we're after all sorts of disciplines, including mining, chemical and mechanical engineering, physics, chemistry and maths, mineral processing, geostats, statistics, geology. Based at the University of Adelaide, we've got 1 Masters by Research project and 10 PhD scholarships. We have 1 PhD scholarship through Curtin that will be based at the University of Adelaide. And we have 4 scholarships through the University of South Australia. And as part of those scholarships, they offer a $34,000 per annum stipend. They have company placements or internships, as they've been called previously. We have set up a mentoring program, which includes industry contacts and networks, and career relevant training and skills development. So you'll be ready to go once you've finished your PhD. And of course, participation in world-leading research and getting to use that research within industry and with those industry partners. So for further information, if you want to email me or give me a call or go to our website at aocr.com.au. Next slide, please, Lisa. So those 16 different scholarships we've got available are across the whole mining chain. So they go from exploration through ore sorting through to mineral processing and sensing. So we've split the scholarships into 3 different groups. We have smart sensing with the red circle, data analytics and integration in the yellow circle, and optimization through integration in the blue circle. Next slide, please, Lisa. So I've placed each of those 16 scholarships across the mining chain where they're actually involved. As you can see, they're across a whole different bunch of stages and they're very strong interaction with each other. So we're using the data that we get from those smart sensors and we're using that data to optimize and automate the mining value chain. So if you want details, specific details on each of those projects, hop on and have a look at iocr.com.au and they have full details in each of the projects. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Ruth. Yeah, once again, we will be providing you all the information you need. I will be following up with a questionnaire, and if you want specific information, please respond, and I'll make sure that that information gets to you and put you in contact with either Professor Peter Dowd or one of the academics or Ruth Shaw, whatever you need in order to make connection.
And I can push you in the correct direction as well.
Yeah, thanks. Was there any other questions for Ruth while she's on the line? Or we have a very shy group tonight. Use the chat function though, don't be shy. Okay, so presenting next we have Hung Wang. Now, she's currently working on a fairly large research project, as Philippa and Leon mentioned before, with EnviroCopper. And Hung did her PhD with the faculty. So on her PhD project, she was working on a project with Newcrest Mining, and we've invited her today to speak about her industry PhD experience. So over to you, Hung.
Thanks, Lisa. Hello, I'm very glad to be here today to share my experience working with industry during my research projects. So I did my master's degree by coursework in mining engineering at the University of Adelaide. About 6 years ago, I was about to graduate and not yet determined what I should do next. So I searched for jobs in the industry. That's kind of a default option that you finish your study and you start to look for a job. And I was also curious about working in a mining company. But the job market at that time was very bad. So before I received any job interviews, my supervisor for my final year research project told me that they've got a PhD project for me and asked me if I was interested. He told me this because some time ago I consulted him about PhD opportunities. That was at the beginning of my last semester. I was quite enjoying doing my final year research project. Kind of got fascinated in digging into the research problems. So I thought it would be interesting and cool if I could work on a bigger and a more profound research project, like doing a PhD. And I also wanted to improve my problem solving skills. I wanted to improve my academic reading and writing. I wanted to increase my knowledge and grow my expertise in a specific area. I guess that's my motivation to do a PhD. So I was very happy about getting the PhD offer. And it's collaborating with industry, and which was a kind of a bonus for me, because I was still very interested in how it would be working in the mining company. So I think that having that connection with industry may create some opportunities in the future. So I started my PhD, and we work with Newcrest Mining Limited. So they proposed a specific research problem, and I investigated in the problem and developed the methodology and techniques to solve the problem with the guidance of my supervisors. So I have research meeting with my supervisors every week. And beside that, we had regular meetings with people from industry each quarter. So we discussed about the influencing factors together for the project, and we exchange ideas and data, and I report my work in progress to them. So basically, I would have more meetings than my colleagues who were not working on the industry collaborating projects. So I think that so one of our meetings was in Melbourne in their head office. So I had that opportunity to visit their head office. And I also got the opportunity to visit the mine site on Lihir Island in Papua New Guinea. That was a fantastic trip. I got to know a bit more about working on the mine site, about the accommodation, the food, the facilities on the mine site, and the daily routines for their work. And my biggest impression was about the mine site itself. I saw the big open pit. It's a gold open pit mine, and I saw the processing plant, very complicated. So that's a very good visualization for the things that I learned from the courses in mining engineering. So having this trip was one of the benefits that for me, working with industry. Another thing is that collaborating with industry may also help in keeping your work motivation, because you work on a practical problem. You have these people who know what your research is about, and they really look forward to your research outcomes. So that becomes my part of my work motivation during my PhD. And I also feel that having those extra meetings has helped me improve my communication skills. So I get more comfortable in doing presentations in front of different audiences. So for my PhD, at the beginning, in the meeting, I was more kind of sitting there and listening to the discussions between my supervisors and the people from industry. But gradually, I was more involved in the discussions. So that's, I saw the improvement for myself. So all of these skills that I developed during my PhD, I think has prepared myself for my next project, the CLC project, which I am working on now with environmental copper. So my personality is that when there is an opportunity there, my first reaction is, oh, can I do this? Is to question myself. But this time, when I was presented with the project information, I found that my PhD research experience fits in this project quite well, because both projects are multidisciplinary, and both projects are involved with modeling the reaction transport problem. And I have experience in that. I developed a numeric model for a similar problem for my PhD. So I think, oh, I can do this. And this project is more collaborating with different people. So I have the experience collaborating with industry. So I think, okay, I should be able to work in a team like this. So in this CLC project, I work with Leon, with Philippa, and with other people, all from different backgrounds, including project managing, geology, chemical engineering, environmental science, and geophysics, etc. So I learned a lot from these colleagues. And I need to collect data from them, from some of these aspects, to build the model for the in situ recovery projects. So we went through a lot of discussions on different aspects about this project. So, so this is a very good opportunity for me, for my career. I'm sure you feel the same way after Philippa's introduction for the project. So for me, I found collaborating with industry is very challenging and very rewarding. So I think through doing PhD and then the CLC project, I have the opportunity to learn the skills that I didn't have when I started out at the end of my master's degree. And I think these skills will come in handy as I start to look for my next career challenge. And that is my story. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Hung. I think, yeah, I think that's a really great message. A few things that have resonated. You're getting claps from Ruth Shaw there, Hung, so well done. It's a really good message. For me, that was about, sometimes PhD or research study is about not always knowing where you want to go, but thinking about where you want to be. And I think Hung's story was a really good way to show us what she's done with that. She didn't really know where she was starting, where she was going to go when she finished her undergraduate degree, but she's gone on to do fantastic things and had some great opportunities and has actually built some really good partnerships in the meantime, and lifelong friendships as well. So just think about that as we go along. But thanks very much, Hung, for your time. Were there any questions for Hung at all? I'm going to keep asking. I'm going to keep asking and hope that someone's going to ask a question.
Sorry,
No.
Lisa?
Sorry?
Sorry, I'll get to a question, not for Hung, but for the general question.
Yeah.
Is for Hung's case, she actually got a research project during her master by coursework, right? And she actually has the time to, like, she actually know the supervisor. So in my case personally, I don't really have a research project in my coursework, master by coursework. So is any suggestions or like methods or webinars such like this to get you connected with any, for example, supervisors, or get to know them?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. It's probably something that a lot of students come up against. Some people aren't doing, some students aren't doing research projects in their degrees, and I think one of the challenges can be how to connect. So for you personally, please do come back to me after the session, and we'll have a chat talk through about where you need to connect and what you're interested in. But we also have postgraduate coordinators for all of our schools in ECMS, and that can certainly, you can have a discussion with them, talk about your project interest, your research interest, and we can certainly hook you up that way to speak to someone in that particular field who will be able to engage you or talk you through where your particular interests are. But thank you for your question. Well done, first cab off the rank. We will have more questions after this. Any other questions for Hung or for anyone in particular?
Lisa, there's one. I noticed there's one in the chat from Rujan relating to writing papers and doing research as a PhD while working in an industry company. Just for clarification, Rujan, I guess the iPhD opportunities we're talking about here are where you're actually doing research in collaboration with the company. And so you're not for the iPhD program, you're not an employee of the company for that 4-year period. There is an internship of 6 months though, where you'd be working in the company. But in the other 3.5 years, you'd be in regular contact and supervision by the company and also by your academic supervisor. But the main game in terms of what you're doing is research. And so you'd have plenty of time to do that research. With regards to writing of papers though, I guess each industry partner would be different and have different needs. And in some cases, there might be timing issues in terms of publications. Some companies might be very keen for you to get publications out. Others might be keen to secure intellectual property through patents or other means first, and then the papers can flow afterwards. So perhaps I might even hand over, I know Ruth's nodding a bit there, and but maybe other industry people that are present might be able to comment about publications in regards to the research that's done.
If you want me to comment, Lisa?
Yes, please do.
Our training centre scholarships are for a year's industry placement, and they're not necessarily all at the same place. They can be at different companies. But while the placement occurs, the student will be working on their PhD scholarship, and that will be, I'll be keeping track of that to make sure that does happen. Papers are often written with the industry partners, so there'll be co-authors. The industry partners can help with those papers. So that's what we've seen quite often in the past. So there hasn't been too much of an issue with publications or thesis writing, and it gives a good background and opportunity for the students to get more of a look at what happens within industry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks both. Thanks Anthony as well. So I think we will move on at this point. We are on time, but we will move on. Before we talk specifically around scholarships and how to apply and the nitty-gritty, I would like to mention that there are some school information sessions coming up that people may be interested in. We have one from the School of Chemical Engineering and Advanced Materials, and I can advise you of those dates in days to come. School of Civil Engineering and Mining, if you wanted to hear about other opportunities there, and we can also connect you through to Ruth Shaw and anyone else you need to. And also School of Mechanical Engineering is having one on the 24th of August. So if you are interested in, if you have a look at the research opportunities, we have links to a research opportunity guide there. You may see some things in any of those schools or any school that you're interested in. Do respond to the questionnaire, please, when I send it out to you, and let me know which session that you're interested in, and we'll make sure someone from the school contacts you and follows up to ensure that you have the Zoom link or the details about where to go for the day. So I know that the content of the sessions will vary depending on the school. So it'll probably be interesting to go along and see what else they have to say, and also to connect, to speak to some of the academics that will actually be presenting on the night. And as I mentioned, you can also follow up with any of our postgraduate coordinators if you're unsure how to find who you need to speak to. Now, straight into our application process. I think if we don't have any other questions this moment, I'll just give you a quick opportunity for anyone to jump in.
Lisa, I might just jump in there with in relation to some chat that's going on around stopping PhD in the middle. So I would say probably just stopping the PhD in the middle isn't the best of plans. A PhD is quite a big commitment. And so usually the best is to embark on that commitment that you're going to be involved for 4 years and see it through. I would think if you do have any uncertainty though, probably a better option is to commence a Masters of Philosophy. And then what you can do, and that'll give you, that's then a 2-year commitment, but that'll give you a taste for doing the research. And then if you find that you're really enjoying it, then you can look at actually upgrading to a PhD and converting from your 2-year MPhil enrolment into the 4-year PhD program for an industry-based PhD. Or if maybe after the 2 years you decide that that's enough for you in terms of research, then you've actually got a good exit point and then you'll come out with an MPhil.
Okay. Thanks, Anthony.
That's right.
So now that we've got your mouth watering about some of the opportunities that are coming up, let's dive into what the process is for application. So there is actually a 2-step process to applying for a research degree. So first you have to find a project and a supervisor, and then you actually formally apply for admission or scholarship or both through AGC. So as I mentioned before, we have created a guide there to help you find a suitable research project and scholarship, or you may even have another area of interest that you want to speak to an academic about. So we provided you with those links and contacts in order for you to start those discussions. So please do go to the guide. There's a link there to our ECMS webpage for more information. But then, as I mentioned, once you've found a project and a supervisor, you'll be asked to provide your CV and transcripts and some basic information to your supervisor for an initial assessment. So that's before you actually move on and go to through AGC to formally apply. So you need to be having a discussion around your project, make sure it's suited for you, and to make sure you're academically suited for the project that you're interested in as well. So that's the basic process. There is more information on the web page. Just follow the links through for the detail. Now, we've heard tonight that there are two types of higher degrees by research. There's a Master of Philosophy and there is a PhD, a Doctor of Philosophy. So when you apply, you actually apply for admission or scholarship or both. And depending on whether you're an MPhil applicant or a PhD applicant, and also depending on your scholarship needs. So I think the main point to know is that application to a research degree is competitive, and to be eligible for admission and also for scholarship, we expect you to have a high overall academic achievement through your coursework degree. And that's what the academic is assessing you for initially. So for the details on the slide here, but for entry to a PhD, you need to have achieved at least a 2A honours grade in your undergrad. If you're applying on the basis of your postgrad degree, you would need to have completed a significant research component at a high level of achievement. So for entry to a Master of Philosophy, you can see that you would need to have completed a degree with at least a distinction average in order to be considered for admission. And we're actually going into a domestic scholarship round, so there is a little bit of a focus there. But if you are an onshore international student looking to apply in one of the upcoming rounds, your successful completion of your University of Adelaide degree, if you're doing it here, means that you automatically meet the English language requirements. So that's just something to note. So as I mentioned, eligibility for scholarship is also based on your high academic achievement, and you're ranked according to your achievement. So the highest ranking students who secure scholarships generally have a GPA of 6 and above and a first class honours to be competitive. So that's not to put you off. That's not to say that if you don't have that, if you don't have a GPA of 6 and above, you don't have a first class honours, then you shouldn't apply. I'm just letting you know that is a competitive process, and generally students who win the scholarships are those with a high academic achievement. So discuss that with your supervisor, see and discuss your scholarship options with your supervisor in relation to the project that you're interested in. In terms of your scholarship options and the upcoming rounds, there's generally 3 types of scholarships that are available. I've sort of simplified this a little bit, but we'll get through it. So basically your first option is what we call an RTP. So a Research Training Program Scholarship is a Commonwealth funded scholarship, and it's also highly competitive. So with that comes a 28K per annum tax-free stipend for the duration of your degree. You also, when you win a scholarship, you are also eligible for a tuition fee waiver. So there's no tuition fees for research students once you win a scholarship. people who apply for these scholarships, they generally can be research topic focused. But once again, we can talk you through that if you have any questions around scholarship or which one you should be applying for. The second option on here is around that University of Adelaide iPhD scholarship, and that Volker was talking about right at the beginning of the presentation. So this scholarship is targeted at students who do want to work with industry. It's a specific program, so it's a 4-year industry-based project and program that you'll be engaging with, and that includes a 6-month internship. So scholarships for these opportunities are around 38k per annum upwards. So they're quite sort of lucrative scholarships. They're good ones to engage with. Please do have a look at them. I'll provide you with the links, and there's always new opportunities coming up because we're constantly speaking to our industry partners. Please do keep those in mind. The third option on the screen there are sort of any other sponsored scholarships. So usually these are sort of funded by industry or external research grant funding that academics secure. So the example that Leon and Philippa just gave with EnviroCopper, that's one of these type of scholarships. So they would win a grant and then they would contribute some funding towards the major scholarship or the a top-up contribution. So these scholarships, they're usually for a 3.5-year PhD or a 2-year Master of Philosophy degree, and they're generally opened until they're filled. So do make sure that you refer to the guide and keep looking out for those new opportunities because they are coming up all the time, and people who secure these other sponsored scholarships don't always fall into the formal round applications. So do keep in touch and ask the question if you're unsure. So coming up are the round for the domestic scholarship rounds for domestic students. At the moment, AGC are still determining the scholarship application dates for onshore international students. So if you have questions around that, the advice is to keep checking the link that I provided here on this slide because the dates will be published in early September. But it's likely that they will align with these domestic dates that are on this screen. So I can confirm for you that the industry, there's basically 2 rounds that are coming up and available. There's an industry scholarship round, and that's sort of put aside for those University of Adelaide iPhD opportunities or the CSIRO PhD, so the 4-year program with the 6-month internship. And onshore, I can confirm that onshore internationals are definitely encouraged to apply through those rounds. And then we also have, so that will actually close on the 31st of August for a start date at the beginning of next year. We also have the major domestic round that is currently open and closes on the 31st of October for a 2021 start. So what's important is to make sure you don't miss the dates. Apply for the scholarship that you're interested in, and once you've applied, you'll be considered for all other scholarships that you may be eligible for. So you can then decide later which way you do want to go, but please make sure you don't miss the dates and make sure you go through the process I just explained before to make sure you get your admission and scholarship application to AGC on time to be considered. So that was pretty quick and fast, but I think all the information is there. Anthony, did you have a question? No? And so are there any questions on that? Okay. Well, I think that we've actually come to the end of the session. So thank you all for listening. I'd like to especially thank our speakers tonight. I think we've heard some really great messages there around how we can benefit from working with industry and how you as potential PhD or high degree research students could benefit. All of the insights I've heard tonight from our speakers have been engaging and really practical, so thank you. What we have heard tonight is that the appetite from industry and other sectors to engage with our research students is actually increasing. But it's also complementary to the traditional research within academia that we do. So if it is traditional research that you're interested in, we're still happy to engage. There are still projects available. They are also listed in the guide. So go along and have a look. So we've also encouraged you to think about your study pathway tonight. Many of you here tonight were invited because of your academic excellence and your achievements. So through your coursework studies, you've been equipped with technical and practical knowledge, and chances are you've excelled at acquiring that knowledge. So it's likely you're well suited for going into research. So the thing is, when you transfer your academic knowledge to a higher degree in research, and then you learn other complementary skills like Hung did, such as creativity and resilience and problem-solving skills, at the same time as deepening your expert knowledge when you're doing your research degree and becoming a specialist in your field, you're able to then shape the future of humanity and our environment. And I think the message here is you can be part of that if you take up a PhD or an MPhil with us. You've also heard tonight how industry and other public and private sectors understand the mutual benefit of investing in research students and how it links to the future. I think that's been really inspiring. We've had some great messages around that. And we've also showcased to you some new and exciting research opportunities that you could be involved with. We showed you how to take the next steps forward and to try and find a research project that ignites your passion, because that's really important to how well you're going to succeed in your degree. So the message I really want to leave you with tonight is to think about it. Think about what you want to do. Think about what you want to know. Think about where you want to go and how you'll get there. And speak to the people that can advise you. Speak to your supervisor. Look at the links. Go to the follow-up information sessions and contact me if you get stuck. We really do want to encourage you to think about it and think a little bit broader than just traditional research, because that is where we know that that's where things are going. That industry and connection is going to become increasingly important in the future. So we really look forward to hearing from you, and please look out for the link that I'm going to be sending you in the next couple of days with the follow-up questionnaire, so we can get back to you and help you in any way that we can. I will just finish by saying, please do keep in touch. These are our links. We do offer a lot of opportunities through our social media links, and here they are here in the brochure, and I'll forward those to you. It's a good spot. They're good spots for you to keep going back to check to see where our research capabilities are and what we're doing in the faculty. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here tonight. Please do keep posting up on the chat. We'll be here. Probably be here for another 10-15 minutes. So thank you very much, and nice speaking to you tonight. Good night.